The Jerusalem temple bustled with activity. Worshippers from far and wide journeyed to this sacred place. Among the grand courtyards and ornate buildings stood the treasury. It was here that people could contribute their offerings to God. The clinking of coins echoed in the air as people dropped their gifts into the collection chests. Some gave with a flourish, eager to be seen by others. Others gave quietly, their hearts filled with gratitude. The wealthy arrived with an air of importance. They wore fine robes and carried themselves with an air of superiority. Their donations were substantial, heavy bags of coins that announced their generosity to all. They seemed to relish the attention, basking in the admiring glances of those around them. Their giving was a public display, a testament to their wealth and piety. The chests overflowed with their gifts, a tangible representation of their affluence. Amidst the commotion, a widow approached the treasury. Her clothes were simple, her demeanor humble. She carried no bag of coins, only 2 small copper coins clutched tightly in her hand. These coins, known as mites, were the smallest denomination of currency. They represented a pittance, barely enough to buy a single meal. Yet, with a heart full of reverence, she dropped her meager offering into the treasury. The coins made scarcely a sound as they disappeared into the depths of the chest. Unbeknownst to the widow, Jesus had been observing the scene. He watched as people came forward to give their offerings, each one placing their gifts into the temple treasury. The wealthy, dressed in fine clothes, made a show of their donations, ensuring everyone saw their generosity. He called his disciples to him and pointed out the contrast between the wealthy donors and the widow. The disciples gathered around, curious about what Jesus had to say. They had seen the rich give large sums and assumed these were the most valuable contributions. "Truly, I tell you," he said, "this poor widow has put in more than all the others." The disciples were puzzled, looking at each other in confusion. How could her small coins be worth more than the large donations of the rich? All these people gave their gifts out of their wealth, but she out of her poverty put in all she had to live on. The wealthy gave what they could easily spare, but the widow gave everything she had, trusting in God's provision. Jesus' words shocked the disciples. They had always believed that the size of the gift was what mattered most. This new perspective challenged their understanding of generosity. How could this woman's meager offering be considered more valuable than the large sums given by the wealthy? They began to discuss among themselves, trying to grasp the deeper meaning of Jesus' teaching. It was a lesson in true generosity, one that measured the heart and sacrifice behind the gift, rather than its monetary value. Jesus' lesson transcended the physical act of giving. It pierced through outward appearances and spoke to the heart of true generosity. The wealthy had given out of their abundance. Their gifts, though substantial, represented a small fraction of their wealth. The widow, on the other hand, had given sacrificially. Her 2 small coins represented everything she had. Her act was an expression of profound faith and trust in God. She held nothing back, surrendering all that she had to her provider. The story of the widow's mite challenges us to examine our own giving habits. This humble act of giving, though seemingly insignificant in monetary value, speaks volumes about the widow's heart and her unwavering faith. Do we give out of our abundance, or do we give sacrificially? The contrast between giving from surplus and giving from scarcity reveals much about our priorities and our trust in divine provision. Do we hold back, seeking to protect our own comfort and security? Often, the fear of not having enough can lead us to cling tightly to our resources, forgetting that true security comes from faith, not finances. Or do we trust God to provide, even when we give generously? When we release our grip on material possessions, we open ourselves to experiencing the abundance of God's blessings. True generosity is not measured by the amount given, but by the heart behind the gift. It's the intention and love that accompany the act of giving that truly matter. It's about giving out of love, not obligation. When our actions are driven by genuine care and compassion, they carry a deeper significance and impact. It's about surrendering our resources to God, trusting that He will meet our needs. By placing our trust in Him, we acknowledge that everything we have is a gift from above, and we become stewards of His blessings. In a world often focused on material wealth, let us remember that true richness lies in the generosity of our hearts and the love we share with others. Let us strive to be like the widow, giving not just from our pockets but from our hearts, with faith and love guiding our every action. The widow's mite reminds us that even small acts of generosity can have profound significance. We may not all have great wealth to give, but we all have something to offer. It could be our time, our talents, or simply a kind word or gesture. When given with a heart of love, even the smallest act can make a world of difference in the lives of others. Never underestimate the power of a smile, a listening ear, or a helping hand. The story of the widow's mite is an invitation to a life of generosity. It teaches us that true giving is not measured by the amount, but by the heart and sacrifice behind it. It's a call to live with open hands and hearts, embracing a spirit of selflessness and compassion. When we give, we open ourselves to the transformative power of kindness. To give freely and sacrificially means to offer what we have, no matter how small, with a willing and joyful heart. It's about seeing the needs of others and responding with love. It's about trusting God with our resources and allowing Him to work through our giving. When we release our hold on material possessions, we make room for divine blessings. Let us be inspired by the widow's example and strive to live lives marked by generosity, compassion, and love. Her story reminds us that every act of giving, no matter how small, has great value in the eyes of God. For in giving, we receive. The joy and fulfillment that come from helping others enrich our own lives in ways we cannot measure. In surrendering, we find abundance. By letting go of our own desires and focusing on the well-being of others, we discover a deeper sense of purpose and contentment. And in loving, we experience the fullness of God's grace. Love is the foundation of generous living, and through it, we connect more deeply with the divine and with each other. Thank you for being with us today on Catholic Prayers for All. If this reflection touched your heart, please give it a like and share it with those who matter to you. Don't forget to subscribe for more spiritual reflections and insights from the Gospels. Let's walk this journey of faith together, growing in wisdom and drawing closer to a life centered in Christ. Until next time, may God's grace and blessings be with you always.